You slept 8 hours last night, maybe 9. You didn't wake up once. Your alarm went off and you opened your eyes and for a split second, just a split second, you felt fine. Then it hit. That heaviness behind your forehead, that drag in your chest like someone filled your lungs with wet sand overnight. You lay there thinking something is wrong with you. You Googled it, you bought melatonin, you tried magnesium, blue light glasses, a new mattress topper, you went to bed earlier. And still, every single morning, your body feels like it's recovering from something that never actually happened. Here's what nobody tells you. You're not tired because you didn't sleep. You're tired because sleep was never the problem. In 2019, a research team at Loughborough University ran a study on 328 adults who consistently reported chronic fatigue despite averaging 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Blood panels came back normal, thyroid function fine, iron levels adequate. On paper, these people were healthy, but their bodies told a completely different story. The researchers started measuring something most doctors never check during a fatigue complaint: cortisol slope. Not just cortisol levels, but the way cortisol moves through your body across a full day. And what they found changed the way we understand tiredness entirely. In a regulated nervous system, cortisol peaks about 30 minutes after you wake. It's called the cortisol awakening response. It's sharp, fast, it floods you with alertness and energy and a sense of direction. Then throughout the day, it gradually drops like a slow tide pulling back, until by evening you're calm enough to fall asleep. That's the slope. That's the rhythm your body was built to follow. But in the people who were always tired, the slope was flat, almost a straight line. Cortisol barely rose in the morning and barely fell at night. Their bodies weren't cycling. They were stuck in a gray zone, not stressed enough to react, not calm enough to recover. Perpetual middle, perpetual fog. And the thing about a flat cortisol slope is it doesn't show up on a standard blood test. Your doctor sees a number in range and tells you you're fine, but the rhythm is broken, and rhythm is everything. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable, because the next question is obvious. What flattens the slope? It's not caffeine, it's not screens, it's not even poor sleep hygiene, though none of those help. The number one predictor of a flattened cortisol rhythm in otherwise healthy adults is chronic emotional suppression. That's not a wellness buzzword, that's a physiological event. Every time you swallow a reaction, override a feeling, perform calm when you're not calm, push through when your body is saying stop, your nervous system logs it, not as a thought, as a chemical signature. Your hypothalamus adjusts, your adrenals recalibrate, and over time, your body stops surging in the morning because it learned that surging leads nowhere, that the energy it gives you gets spent on performance, not on living. You're not tired because your body is broken. You're tired because your body is brilliant. It adapted to what you kept asking it to do, function without feeling, and now it's doing exactly that, functioning without feeling, which feels from the inside like being tired all the time. Think about your last week, not the big events, the micro ones. The moment you said I'm fine when you weren't. The email you read that made your stomach tighten but you replied to within 4 minutes anyway. The evening you wanted silence but filled it with noise because silence felt too confrontational. These aren't dramatic moments. They don't feel like stress. But to your nervous system, each one is a small act of override. A tiny betrayal between what you feel and what you perform. And the body keeps a tab, not in memory, in chemistry, in the dull ache behind your eyes at 7 in the morning after 8 perfect hours of sleep. There's a phrase in somatic psychology: the body doesn't lie, but it does delay. It will carry your unfelt experiences for weeks, months, sometimes years without complaint, until one day the weight becomes the weather. You stop noticing it as something wrong. You just start calling it how I am. You say things like, I'm just a low-energy person, or I've always been a slow starter. But that's not identity. That's adaptation. That's a nervous system in a holding pattern, circling an airport you never clear it to land in. So here's the part that feels like the answer. Reset the rhythm. Get morning sunlight within the first 20 minutes of waking. This is the single strongest external trigger for cortisol awakening response. Move your body before you check your phone. Not a workout, a signal. Walk, stretch, let your muscles tell your brain that the day has begun. In the evening, do less. Actually less. Not optimize less, not wind down routine less.
Boring, purposeless, unproductive less. Let your cortisol fall by giving it nothing to manage. This works. Studies confirm it. Within 2 to 3 weeks of consistent light exposure and genuine evening downregulation, most people see measurable improvement in morning alertness and daytime energy. But here's the part that doesn't fit neatly into a protocol. Because you can do all of that, the light, the movement, the magnesium, the sleep hygiene, and still feel heavy, still feel that invisible weight. And the reason is that the tiredness was never only chemical, it was informational. Your fatigue is a message you keep receiving but never open. It's your body asking a question you're not sure you want to answer. Not how do I sleep better, but what am I carrying that I refuse to put down? Not why don't I have energy, but what have I been spending energy on that was never mine to spend? The most exhausting thing a human being can do is not manual labor. It's not sleep deprivation. It's maintaining a version of yourself that requires constant effort to hold in place. That's where the energy goes, not into your work, not into your relationships, into the scaffolding around a self that doesn't quite fit but looks close enough to pass. And the cruel part is this: you can't just decide to stop, because that scaffolding feels like survival. It was survival once. The performance kept you safe, kept you loved, kept you employable, kept you sane. You built it for good reason. But the building is done, and now you're still carrying the tools. Your tiredness isn't a flaw. It might be the most honest part of you. The body doesn't lie, but it does wait. Some mornings the heaviness isn't pulling you back to sleep. It's pulling you towards something you've been awake enough to avoid. Rest doesn't fix what was never about sleep. If this resonates with you, the next video on the screen will explain more body and brain connection. And while here, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.